Welcome to Nights at Mausoleum Manor, a true horror stories podcast by MultiJames95. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell for more updates and content. A warm welcome to our guests at Mausoleum Manor once again. As for our new listeners, welcome to my abode. Here we are at our grand hall. Please settle down in front of this giant fireplace and make yourself at home. We have another story to tell. I and my servants have prepared chocolate chip cookies, cakes, and other snacks for this stormy evening to keep you warm. Milk? Hot chocolate? Can we interest you in any? We have some water available too. And as you enjoy the servings we give you, we have another story in our hands. This is the Laperal Guest House. Baguio City in Benguet Province is often known as the summer capital of the Philippines because of its climate, owing to its location of 4,810 feet above sea level. This was also the hill station of the Americans during the Commonwealth period. Now, we traverse a road named Leonard Wood Road. Along the dark Leonard Wood Road stands a grim abode that casts a deathly pall. It was notorious for its history. Because of this, it's often stated to be haunted. This is the Laperal Guest House. The Laperal couple, Roberto Sr. and Victorina, had 4 children. 3 sons, one of whom is Roberto's namesake, and a daughter. They owned a mansion which is today the presidential guest house for visiting heads of state in Arlegui Street of the Malacañang complex. For summer vacation residents, they chose to build a house in Baguio. The house was constructed in the 1920s, and once completed, the couple had told their children not to sell the house so that they can also turn it to a business. This allows people who visit Baguio to rent it. The house was a happy vacation home to them for a time, and this continued into the 1930s. What was unexpected would be darkness and terror knocking on these doors. Come the 1940s, and the Japanese occupied the Philippines. One of their garrisons in Baguio was the Laperal House. Several brutal atrocities, such as rapes, executions, and tortures happened in its hallowed halls and on its grounds. The basement garage served as an interrogation and torture chamber for the Americans, Brits, Filipinos, including those of Chinese and Spanish heritage, as well as Japanese opposing the war, and spies for the Americans. Upstairs, the master bedroom was the site of rapes and sexual abuse of comfort women. All these were perpetrated by the Japanese dreaded military police called Kenpitai. Among their victims was the Laperal family. By the time of their deaths, the Laperal offspring divided the property one by one through shares. Soon after the war, the Japanese left the place. Sometime later, the Laperal's only surviving member, Roberto, met an untimely death. He slipped and fell to his death from the stairs in front of the house. Thus, the wishes of the Laperals not to sell the house failed to come into fruition. The physician bought the house and named his son as his heir. Soon after, the house was sold again by a realty company. It stood many calamities, among them the 1990 Luzon earthquake. With that, the hauntings began. Such were witnessed by the first caretaker of the house, Francisco Espiritu. This true tale was passed to his daughter, Ovena. Late one night, in front of the house, a dating couple parked their car to rest for a while. Here, the boy shot his girl with a pistol before putting the gun on himself, ending his life with a bullet. Why would they do such a thing? In another scenario, Francisco was getting ready to sleep in the basement, which connects to the garage, when he heard a knock on the door. Opening it, he met a woman dressed in white. And out of pity, he lets this woman in and took an extra blanket and pillow for her to use. But when he returned, the woman was gone. Since then, the house has experienced more paranormal activity as ever. Little Calvo, who became its gardener for years, was familiar with the stories of the place. Many of them came from a former caretaker of the house, Lina, who was there ever since the time the Laperals were still alive. Not to mention that Calvo found a skull cap in the garden. In one story involving Lina, she has often seen the spirits of the Laperals watching over her as she did her rounds in the home. While cleaning some furniture one day, Lina met Victorina, sitting at the staircase of the house. And while she finished the upstairs room cleanings, she went down again, only to encounter Roberto sitting on the couch. In both instances, despite her fear, she said prayers and the ghosts of the Laperals left her in peace. However, this was not just the only experience she had. Every single day, Roberto kept watch over her, indicated by the thumping of his cane as he walked the house's main floor or staircase. But the Laperals were not the only apparitions she met. For most of the time, she slept in the upstairs rooms, which hosted some entities. In one instance, while doing another cleaning, she noticed what appeared to be a person with no head, dressed in religious habit. This was likely the spirit of a clergyman who gave a final blessing before he was beheaded by the Japanese. There were stories of possession involving the house. One man named June, himself the son of Lina, who visited and stayed in the place, suddenly felt pain in his body. Doctors could not determine what ailment he had. It was later discovered the female spirit had apparently entered his body. An exorcism was made in the house, to which the female identified herself as Catherine and told her backstory. Catherine was one of the females who died on the property. She was a nun who was raped and murdered through beheading by the Japanese in the house's master bedroom, the witness to the comfort women's abuse. Agreeing to leave, Catherine asked all the parties involved to pray for her for 9 days. Prayers were held, and she left for the afterlife later, finding peace. Suddenly, another pain rose. This time, the spirit of Roberto Laperal possessed June. In another exorcism, Roberto's message was just to take care of the property that was once his. Everyone present who witnessed this agreed, and the Laperal patriarch left them to join the nun in going home to the afterlife. These possessions were great deals of lessons for June, who has since joined church fellowships and eased the trauma he experienced. Since then, the spirits of the nun and Roberto allowed him to live in peace and enjoy the house as he pleases. The true horror stories of Laperal House did not end at this point. Even people who live nearby also had similar experiences. Even during daylight, the spirits made themselves known. One story was that of a mother named Letty and her child walking up the hill where the house stood. They felt a cold atmosphere and heard the sobs of a girl, of which the child pointed out to a mango tree where they spot a woman in white dress. Letty described this woman as looking beautiful but forlorn. She has never feared the apparition, as she thought it was a good spirit who seemed to have been guiding them, only making itself known to remind her, always pray for her. Though the White Lady never harmed Letty, it did not end there. It was Letty's norm to always leave her residence during dawn hours to head for the market to begin her sales. While leaving her house, she traversed a bridge only to almost collide with a man in black. Turning around, she discovered this man to be headless. This man must have been a victim of the Japanese. Since then, she only went to the market during sunrise. Another story involved that of a couple living by the foot of the hill where the house stands. They met the same White Lady that Letty saw. One night, the couple were on their way home and decided to take a shortcut through the hill. It was here where they noticed the entity next to the same mango tree and tried to avoid it. However, while walking down the hill, they turned back to see the spirits following them. A university student back in 1996 also had an encounter with this same White Lady. While reviewing her lessons one night, she noticed the entity outside her window but did not mind it, thinking she was only hallucinating as a result of heavy workload. Tired from studying, the student went to bed. As she was almost sound asleep, she felt an extremely cold air in her room, and when she woke up, she saw the White Lady by the foot of her bed. Though frightened, she ordered this entity to leave her alone, to which the White Lady vanished. A justification would be revealed by the spirits on their continuous presence. They guard valuable treasure stored within the house and the property. And, according to the house's caretakers and a faith healer, or albulario as we call it, they believed that as long as the house was not occupied and no new owner came, the house would be continued to be haunted by the spirits. Chinese Filipino billionaire and tycoon Lucio Tan purchased the property in the year 2007, but he never stayed in the place during his trips to Baguio. He instead had the Laperal house renovated and refurbished with proper maintenance and made it into a tourist attraction. From then on, the house was open to the public. 6 years later, the tycoon's Tan Yan Ki Foundation transformed the house into a bamboo foundation museum, which houses Filipino artworks made of bamboo and wood. Also included in the exhibit was the house's history. The museum closed in the mid to late 2010s, wherein the house stood vacant for a while. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, a businessman, Joseph Sembrano, who is journalist Bernadette Sembrano's older brother, eyed locations for his fine dining business. One of the locations that caught his attention was the Laperal house. Knowing that this is a good opportunity to put up a business, he decided on it. This took quite a while and a long time as he did not know the owners of the house. A new facelift was given to the house for its transformation as a restaurant. On December 26, 2022, this upscale dining spot opened. It offers 2 to 5 course continental and contemporary French meals as well as ribeye steaks. The house is once more open to the public and you can dine with the spirits. Also included in the dining experience is the house's history. Because of its reputation, the Laperal Guest House was featured in many TV shows that specialize in the paranormal. Season of the Dead editions of informative programs have investigated the house, and a telemagazine program of ABS-CBN, Magandang Gabi Bayan, used the house as its 1996 Halloween special studio. Not to mention, the house also has a movie of its own. So, should you ever visit Baguio, dare to stop by this house and take a tour. Try their dishes if you must, and always say a prayer for the souls that still remain. Don't be afraid, they will not harm you. They want you to know the history, and they want you to come back if you have completed the tour. Oh, and the spirits want you to bring your friends if they believe in the stories you tell. And now we are back to our grand hall in Mausoleum Manor. We hope you enjoy your stay and the snacks and refreshments we served you in this night of terror stories. Oh, we are half an hour close to the dead of the night. You may all leave for your residences, or in the case of our guests staying the night, you may return to your rooms. The butler will show you the way. Friendly reminder, by the way, before we all rest in bed, think about the poor souls that still reside in the Laperal guest house, as well as their kin. And don't forget to pray for them. Thank you all for spending the time with us tonight at Mausoleum Manor. Come back again if you want to hear more true horror stories. Bring your friends, families, relatives, if they believe in the stories you tell. And it's also time for me to go too, as the dead of the night is approaching. More true horror stories will be told. Good night and pleasant dreams.